Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. Sorry we're late. You're watching Western Wednesdays edition of the Rebel Roundup. We also on Wednesdays have the Buffalo panel of Western-based commentators. We've got a new one today and a familiar face for you. I am your host, Sheila Gunn Reid. Apparently, all I do is live stream. I feel like I've been live streaming constantly since yesterday morning, and I'm joined by my best friend on this wild ride of live streaming, Lise Merle from Regina, Saskatchewan. Lise, how's it going?
Well, hello, my Sheila Gunn Reid, and good morning, especially to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador
Whatever
who
time
have
it is there, because we
whatever
don't know.
who are on a different time zone. But congratulations to those guys. They did a big brave thing yesterday, and can't wait to talk about that with our guests who are spectacular.
Yes. And I have some viewer feedback that I'll address throughout the show. One I'm taking to heart, and the other one not so much. But I'll find an opportune or providential time to talk about those things as we go. If you're watching us on Rumble, thanks for supporting a great free speech platform. And again, sorry we're late to the show. We'll go the extra time for you to make it up. You can leave a Rumble rant over there to support the work that we do. We'll do our very best to address it on air. If it's under $5, if it's over $5, it's mandatory. We got to read it on air. And we appreciate you for choosing us. If you're watching us on YouTube, the same rules apply, but their paid chat is called a super chat, but they also have another option. So if you're not watching the live version, but you are fortunate enough to catch the recorded version of the show, you can leave a paid comment called a super thanks. And again, we just appreciate you choosing us. We know there are lots of places you could spend your money. You have less of it than ever, thanks to the Carney Liberals just either taking it from your pocket in all kinds of creative ways or also making your money worth less through their inflation caused by their out of control government spending. So thank you for choosing us. Now, I'll zip it. I want to bring in our panel. Our panelists are Mark Nixon. You might know him from X. He's a political commenter, and a lot of his work is data driven. So, of course, as we were discussing before we came on air, they just attack him personally because you can't attack the facts. And we also have with us a familiar face on Rebel News. She works a lot behind the scenes, but you also know her from the front side of the camera, Angelica Toy. She's based in Calgary. And we've got a lot to talk about today. Angelica, I think you're going to be with us for the first half hour. I think Mark has agreed to stay on for the full hour, which will be great. Let's get into the big upset for the Liberals last night and surprised me live on air because I had looked at the polling and that was my first mistake. And I thought, oh, okay, well, this is Newfoundland and Labrador. The Liberals are obviously going to win this. The last time the PCs were polling in front was like last spring 2024. They sort of saw the same bump that the federal Conservatives had, and we know how that went. And would you know it, live on air about hour three. Hour three of what I thought would be a 19-minute live stream. The tides completely flipped for the PCs, and they have a new pro-oil and gas, pro-industry, small government, pro-private sector conservative premier named Tony Wakeham. And he is a tall, big brother looking type guy to Scott Moe in Saskatchewan. I couldn't be more thrilled for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. I want to go to you, Mark, first. Were you as sort of surprised about this as I was?
Very surprised because I did take a look at the polling and it showed the Liberals way ahead. Like, I mean,
Right.
the Conservatives had zero chance of winning this based on Main Street polling. But that's also why Main Street polling, I mean, you always have to question, who are they polling? Who are they polling?
Right.
And you know what? It's really refreshing to know that Canadians are waking up, and I'm okay with having a blue wave start from the East Coast and go all the way west. This is refreshing to see. And one thing I want to say is if any of you out there are on X, Tony Wakeham only has 2.9 or 2,900 followers on his X account. So
That's everybody in Newfoundland. But
yeah, well, let's blow his account up. Let's mass follow him, show him some love, And it's
Yep.
nice that Danielle Smith has another conservative premier, because she's having all sorts of problems with the NDP premiers. So it's nice that we're going to have, some more like-minded people working together.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if things change in Yukon, and I think there's a good chance that it might, on November 3rd. I mean, they've got a liberal coalition government with the NDP, so hopefully that NDP party up there finds himself in the same minivan style election victory where they could just carpool to work because they've been so decimated. I think Curry Dixon, the Yukon party, which is their conservative party up there, I think they're poised. Curry Dixon's poised to win up there, which would leave Susan Holt the only liberal premier in the country. Lise, what do you think this win means for Mark Carney?
Well, I don't think that it bodes well for the federal Liberals, because this was going to be a runaway win. They were going to go from a minority Liberal government to a majority Liberal government, and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador said, actually, no, we are going to vote to undo some of the harms that have been done to us over the last 10 years of Liberal rule. So Tony Wakeham, his acceptance speech was remarkable. What he did was open it up to everybody. This was Sheila, what was the tagline or their slogan for the campaign? It was like, for all of us.
For all of us was
For
his campaign slogan.
Big tent. So they're acknowledging that the Liberal Party got carried away in Newfoundland and Labrador and made some bad decisions and got to doing some bad things, rubber stamping projects without asking the people of Newfoundland and Labrador whether they wanted to undertake those projects. He said he was going to concentrate on seniors, taking back provincial jurisdiction over natural resources and projects, and that's real important for the rest of Canada to take note of. He said he's not going to develop their natural resources or major projects without the consent of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. These are generational projects, and he's going to make sure that generations of Newfoundlanders benefit from the decision he makes. So this is all great news. It's all coming up roses in Newfoundland and Labrador today, and good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it shocked me live on air. Like, I was stunned. All of a sudden, they were losing, and then all of a sudden they were winning, and there still could be a stalemate. So right now, Tony Wakeham is at 21 seats, which is the majority, but there's one seat there that they hold only by 18 votes.
Oh, so it's
going to go to, I think, a mandatory recount.
Yeah.
Which would mean that they could be pushed to a stalemate in the government, because it would be 16, 2 and 2. So 2 NDP, 2 independents. I don't know how those independents will vote. One is a guy who got booted out of the Liberal Party, as I learned last night. So it could be 2020. And then what? They'd almost have to call in, and they'd have to call an election, because you couldn't even have a confidence vote. It would just keep ending up tied.
Deadlocked. That's right. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, Tony Wakeham. I'd be out there making all my announcements, not wasting any time on this if that's what might happen. But yeah, it's still good for them. It was good to see the Liberals get trounced a little bit. Yeah.
It is also nice to see the pollsters be wrong. And be proven wrong, because they always think they have it exactly right. And it's actually very rare that they really do. They were really wrong in Alberta, I think in 2023 also. Angelica, what did you think about the election last night?
I was definitely shocked. I was actually watching your guys' stream last night, and you guys were talking about how it was expected to be a Liberal majority. And then, of course, we were all taken by surprise by the progressive Conservative win. And I actually love what you said. You brought up that it was generational, what he was doing. And I think we can see that pattern amongst a lot of the Conservative leaders in Canada. Every decision that they make is always, they're thinking about our future. They're thinking about the generations to come. We see that with Danielle Smith, her investing into the Heritage Fund. Some of Pierre Poilievre, when he was running, a lot of the policies he was running on were for our future, for our children, for affordability, for things like that. So I really like that. Now we have that sort of representation on the East Coast, because we definitely need that with all of the pushback we see on the West Coast with David Eby right now.
It's a great point. And we noted last night that I think the thing that started the end of the carbon tax was that carve out that they made for home heating oil on the East Coast. And look, if you care about clean burning home heating, which I don't, I just care about home heating. But if you care about clean burning home heating and you thought the carbon tax was about the environment, then you would not be carving out bunker fuel, which is what it is. It's what they heat their homes on out there. It's the worst, most dirtiest form of home heating. And again, I don't think any form of home heating is bad, but that's what the left says. But that really laid bare that it was just a cash grab. And the Liberals were willing to bend on it if it meant saving some seats in the East Coast. And I think East Coasters saw the hypocrisy of that. And in fact, it spurred Scott Moe to point out the unfairness of it all and then not remit or collect carbon tax.
It's all he needed. That's all he needed. Yeah.
Let's go to some of the political reactions. One that Mark pointed out, Daniel Smith. Congratulations to fellow Conservative Premier-elect Tony Wakeham and his team on their victory tonight in Newfoundland and Labrador. I look forward to working together to strengthen our provinces and build a stronger nation. Now, I should point out, and we learned this live on air last night, and I'll go to Mark for reaction to this. His team was actually Daniel Smith's team because his campaign manager was Steve Outhouse, who ran the successful UCP campaign in 2023. So from what I understand, Steve is not an interloper. He's actually from out east, and he went back home to help, although he had been in Ottawa for quite some time. But he called in the big guns, and I think they underestimated his campaign. I mean, I did. So I can't really point that out without mentioning that I also underestimated his campaign, but we learned live on air that he had
look at that truck.
That Sierra.
So
that vintage Sierra, my goodness. Anyways, Mark, I just want to go to you on reaction to the campaign. Now knowing what we know, that he had the campaign manager that the UCP used in 2023, makes more sense that he won, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, we're losing common sense in this country. And I think Canadians are waking up that common sense is starting to make a lot more sense these days. So it's nice to see. And, I'm looking forward to the reaction from the Liberal Party on this. And I'm looking for it. They're very silent today. I haven't seen anything. I think they're waiting for the final tally and count. And it's funny, I just saw on X the Mark Carney's Ego account, and he says, "Enjoy it while you can. We just located bags of missing ballots, all Liberals." And there's a bunch of pictures of garbage bags. So we'll see where this ends up.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to very carefully watch the recount in that one riding, which
I
forget.
Oh, there's a lot riding on it, Sheila.
I think that riding's going to end up in court because it will determine the length of the government in Newfoundland and Labrador.
And what was so embarrassing, can we just mention what was so embarrassing? The Liberals rented this ballroom, okay,
Yes.
because they just had it in the bag. All the pollsters were on their side. The mainstream media was on their side. They were going to take this and have a big schwanky party. And it was empty. It was reported that you could hear the HVAC system kick into gear because none of the Liberals showed up when it was clear that they weren't taking this the way they thought they were going to. I mean, it was just a lesson in humility for the Liberals. And you know who deserves that? The Liberals.
Absolutely. Let's go to Polyev, his reaction on this, and then we'll get Angelica to react to that. So Polyev says, "Big news from The Rock. Congratulations to Premier Designate Tony Wakeham and the newly elected Progressive Conservative government in Newfoundland and Labrador. Can't wait to work with you to boost take-home pay, cut inflation and taxes, unlock oil output, protect firearms owners," which is a huge, huge issue in Labrador itself, and lock up criminals for a safe, affordable life for everyone on the Rock. I should point out that unemployment is constructively 10% in Newfoundland and Labrador after the Liberals being in charge federally and provincially there for at least a decade. Angelique, what does this mean for the young people of Newfoundland and Labrador?
Well, clearly we see that a lot of the young people are switching to the more conservative side. We've seen that across Canada. But I think it's absolutely wonderful that we have an opportunity now to actually work with Newfoundland and Labrador, because obviously they're going to be more open to certain ideas, whereas the left would shut them down, of course, such as oil and gas. But for the young people, I think this opens a door of um, I would say more so freedom to actually speak on what they believe because, in a lot of the liberal provinces, such as BC, those that I've spoken to who I know have felt like they can't really talk about certain things because they feel judged, right? But now I guess this gives them more of an open atmosphere to discuss these things. And maybe we might see some more conservative uh, pushes, I guess, in universities, including clubs, things like that. So I really hope that this win does give people that sort of a, hey, it's okay. You can now speak about these things.
I'm kind of sad that all of Newfoundland's young people are going to stay at home to work in their own oil industry and then instead of coming out here to work. Because we've like stolen a generation or two of the productive young people of Newfoundland and Labrador. My dad joke is, and I'll say it again because that's Ezra Levant rubbing off on me, telling my same jokes several times. But the biggest city in Newfoundland and Labrador is, of course, Fort McMurray. And we pulled this poaching act of all the good young people on our friends in Saskatchewan when you guys had an NDP government there for a very long time. It felt like 1 and 2 Albertans were born in Saskatoon.
They were. That's because they were. And that is the truth. That is how we're all related still. And this is why every second person in Alberta says, all right, my family comes from Saskatchewan. We know. Right. We know. It's clear. We're the same.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Let's move away from that. Well, we still have Angelica because she just talked about British Columbia a little bit. Premier David Eby, we got a clip from him. And I'm going to address some criticism that I received last night. Well, not just me, but both Leith also. Came to us on the email. We called David Eby freakishly tall last night on air, and somebody took offense to it. But I think freakishly tall is a statement of fact because he is 6'7". And somebody said to us that would hurt her son's feelings. But I should tell you, I come from this as a woman who also has a freakishly tall son. He is like 6'4". And so I take your criticism, but I don't take it all that seriously. Anyways, I just wanted to address that because it came into the email and I wanted you to know where I was coming from. By the way, that lady also called us a name. She said we were unprofessional and then called us both the B word. So I'm like, okay. Anyway.
And just let it be said, calling David Eby freakishly tall is about the nicest thing we could say about David Eby. So, just
look at him.
Yeah, he's freakishly.
Look at him.
Ichabod Crane. That's David Eby's affect.
Yes.
Just sort of hollow in ways. But in any case, describing people with their physical descriptions is not. It's not offensive, lady. Settle down.
And and don't call me unprofessional and then call me the B word in your email to me. I mean, have a little introspection. Anyways, David Eby says that he has some anxiety over the Carney Liberals focusing more on saving jobs in Ontario and Quebec rather than BC amid the ongoing tariff war. And the Premier asked for more federal support, i.e. money, as forestry jobs are threatened by additional U.S. tariffs on lumber. We could also do this other thing about not fighting with the Americans and just like tightening up the border and ending the super labs. But I mean, I suppose you could get handouts too. That's one way of doing things. Let's hear from him about his anxiety anyways.
I have some anxiety, and I think it's just born of repeated experience being in British Columbia. Because Ottawa is in Ontario, because it's beside Quebec, those provinces are often front of mind. And so my anxiety as a British Columbian, as a Western Premier, is that we have to be way more aggressive to make sure that we get our message heard. Today's announcement, this group of people who have gathered here, is what we have to do. And what we're saying is that the industry is at a tipping point. This industry that contributes so much to Canada's GDP, that provides direct employment to so many Canadians from coast to coast to coast, is facing an existential threat through tariffs that are profoundly unfair, are completely unjustified, and are hurting Americans as well. So when I see Minister Jolie say we're talking about steel, we're talking about energy, and she doesn't include forestry in that list, it tells me that we got to be more in the face of the federal government, that they don't get it yet. And until the federal government gets it and understands how significant this industry is, how important these jobs are, not just to our province, but to provinces and territories across the country, and how important it is to the federal economy, then we got to keep pushing, and we will keep pushing. This group behind me, and we're all standing shoulder to shoulder, united in delivering that message that this industry cannot and will not be forgotten. We will not let it be forgotten. We will not let the workers be forgotten. And we'll make sure that it's on the federal government's radar.
I'll go to Mark, but I know exactly what Lisa's going to say. I'll go to Mark first. He has anxiety over the attacks on the forestry industry, and then he goes on to list all the ways that it is of benefit to the nation writ large. And I'm like, the same could actually be said about oil and gas, but it's not Donald Trump blocking that. It's you. That phone call is coming from inside the house, David Eby, who, and let me just be petty for a moment. He is shaped like one of those inflatable waving men on the side of the highway. Anyways, go ahead, Mark.
Let's face it, David Eby is the worst premier BC's ever. Well, we've had some bad ones, but he's terrible.
Oregon.
He, like, basically, since he showed up, BC has had 4 credit downgrades 4 years in a row. And Moody's say next year we're going to get another credit downgrade. We're running $12.9 billion in deficit spending per year. We are literally, if Canada's going over the precipice and looking over the cliff's edge, BC has already fallen. There is 70,000 British Columbians that have left BC in the last 12 months, and they're all the brightest of the brightest. They're all the people that we want in BC, and they're flooding out, going to Alberta and other provinces because BC is a sinking ship. And the reason that he feels this anxiety, it's self-induced, and he's trying to blame it on the Liberals and saying we need more money. No, we need a better premier. We need to get rid of this guy. He's trying to block prosperity. And he's saying this tanker ban is going to wreck the $60 billion worth of projects. I have yet to see how much money Canadians are going to benefit from his $60 billion worth of projects. How much money, David Eby, are we going to profit? Because Danielle Smith has already come out and said that her project will bring in $20 billion a year for Canada. So what is he talking about? I have a lot to say about David Eby, but I think that's pretty good for now.
Right. And people like him have made sure that Alberta has been robbed of $500 billion in projects. Lisa, I'll go to you because I could just see you taking notes. I believe canola is on your list, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, here David Eby has heard feelings about his forestry industry when it should be a very profitable and efficient industry for British Columbians. The fact of the matter is, if their forestry industry needs government handouts and government bailouts to exist, then there is a mass mismanagement on the provincial side. David Eby is sitting on a gold mine of forestry products that the world is hungry for, and he's not making any money off of it. So what's gone wrong, David Eby? Because if you are efficient and if you are productive, like Saskatchewan canola producers, you don't need the government to come in to save the day. You just need the government to get out of the way.
Yeah. And there are things that the government is doing in BC. Don't ask me how I know this, but I know a lot about natural resource economy and the issues surrounding that. The stumpage fees in BC. So what amounts to their royalty program from the forestry industry, they charge basically a tax on every tree. It's a stumpage fee. And the Conservatives have proposed ending the stumpage fees, or at least seriously dropping them, in an attempt to make the industry survive
More
the
competitive.
tariffs
Sure.
and make
Sure.
it more competitive. Now, that might spark a dispute over softwood lumber, but at the very least, it will help the industry survive without government handouts and find other markets. But he's not considering that. And by the way, Mark, we had 10 credit downgrades during the time the NDP were in power in 4 short years here in Alberta. So EB's got to step it up a little if he wants to keep up with Rachel Notley.
Can I say one thing about BC, and this will describe the whole situation? So we found out a few months ago that BC sends all of our food packaging to the United States. So we actually grow fresh vegetables and fruit in BC. We send that fruit to the United States for packaging because we don't allow packaging in our province because it's against the eco. So then they send it to the US, they package it, send it back. Well, during the tariffs, right? This is devastating for us. So we've had the worst food inflation. You go to the store, I'm like, hey, isn't it summertime? So we should be paying cheaper food, but no, because we do the packaging in the US and it crosses the border. Then we find out the Liberals actually imposed tariffs on food, which came out from the food professor saying, and when that was broken, the news broke, that's when they removed the counter tariffs, right? And so now we're starting to see a little bit of relief at the grocery stores because because we have to send our produce across the border to get packaged. There is so backwards. The thing about the Liberals and NDP is they don't realize that the world's air, okay, they think that Canada's air stays in Canada. But no, the world's air blows across the planet. So, for example, this packaging, and in the US, they have way less standards when it comes to this stuff. So we could do it better here with better eco. And yeah, it's going to be not perfect, but it's going to be better than shipping it off to the US, which follow no regulations at all. But no, they see it as, if it goes to the US, it's out of sight, out of mind. But that's all they do. Yeah, we didn't do it. It's somebody else. But that's how they always do it. And who has to pay the price? Of course, the residents of BC or the country. It's always backwards.
It's all the things that he said about forestry could easily be said about oil and gas, could easily be said about canola, but those industries do not want handouts. They just want the friggin' government to get out of the way. And it's so interesting to see the difference between the two premiers and the two different mentalities. I should say 3 premiers because Scott Moe is very much the same on these issues, where they don't need federal support. They don't want federal support. They want the federal government to get out of the way and quit being a hindrance to trade, as is the case with canola. We've got 100% tariff on canola because we needed to apply protectionist tariffs on EV vehicles from China so that we could protect the bailouts given to the likes of Stellantis and Northvolt, which is now, I think, bankrupt in its home country. Angelica, I'll go to you on this. Mark just pointed out that the tariffs actually cause a price increase on essentials for struggling people and people trying to get a foothold in the economy, like young people. Why don't the NDP understand that taxes applied to things ultimately make things more expensive? These are the people who say they're in it for the poor, they're in it for the working man, but then they keep taxing the poor and the working man and the student.
Well, they can't because they're way too focused on their world policies and they're creating their own stumbling blocks. I think they're too focused on pleasing people. They're too afraid to offend people. And they're obviously having misplaced priorities. I mean, we saw David Eby with the whole drug crisis, right? They opened that up and it caused such a big crisis. So I think a lot of the policies that they create are extremely, extremely destructive. We've seen that time and time again. So, and I think that's with every liberal government, of course. Anytime a conservative government steps in, we see those barriers removed, and then we see businesses flourish because there aren't a bunch of stupid caps on them or stupid rules they have to follow to help save the planet, right? The liberal governments are a lot less focused on actually making money and helping businesses and the economy flourish. Again, they're way too focused on helping the planet.
Social justice
they're not really helping the
nonsense.
planet.
Virtue
social
signaling.
justice warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
virtue signaling. Sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Before we say bye to Angelica, because her boss is off today, so she's gonna cover some other work. Before we say bye to Angelica, let's just go to Premier Smith on the tariff issue, so we can just sort of package up the last of this, and then we'll actually go on to Stellantis after the ad break. So Premier Smith, this is a video from her. She says, throughout the U.S. tariff dispute, our team has worked to strengthen Alberta's relationship with our American allies by reminding them that North American prosperity and U.S. energy dominance cannot happen without Alberta oil and gas powering the way. What a difference she is from our other anti-American premiers. It's encouraging to see our two nations relationship improving, and that both sides recognize the mutual benefit of increasing Canadian oil exports to the U.S. as a cornerstone of our future trade relationship. I'm old enough to remember that she was called a traitor for such things. Let's watch this clip of her on Fox News, because that's what Republicans watch. So you should go on Fox News and not CNN and MSNBC like Doug Ford. Anyways, let's watch this.
Drill, baby, drill, and open the pipeline and send your oil to America. Is that right?
We in Alberta would love to increase the amount of oil and gas we send to our southern neighbors.
I think that Alberta has such a great partnership with the U.S. on their energy dominance aspiration.
As long as these tariffs stay in place, we're going to have to start looking for new markets. I prefer to work with the Americans on increasing the amount that we sell.
I always look at it as more like cooperation as opposed to competition, because we can fuel and feed different markets than America can, and it doesn't diminish at all the American aspiration for dominance. I think, in fact, Canada and U.S. together are going to be the ones that can achieve that energy dominance for all of North America.
I have told the Secretary I could always sell 2 million barrels of oil to someone else other than the United States if they would like us to, because that's essentially the trade deficit.
Yeah. Getting discount oil and gas from Canada, upgrading it, and then having us buy back good American products, that's actually the kind of symbiotic relationship that we want to have.
I've been wanting to double our production in Alberta since I got elected a couple of years ago. And America is our best friend and trading partner. We know that we benefit from more oil production. Americans benefit from more oil production, and we hope that we can find a mutually satisfactory way of going forward so that we can increase our production and build more pipelines.
We have everything we need to secure our mutual energy supply indefinitely and achieve North American energy dominance. And if we can get it right, the future of our continent looks very bright indeed.
Stop threatening to sell the U.S. less energy, and let's promise to sell them more, because I think that's the pathway to a solution, and it seems like that seems to be the nature of the conversation. Let me tell you how Canada being able to provide you raw materials or critical minerals or energy and natural gas allows you to have energy dominance in the world. Let me tell you how me selling you more of our energy allows you to keep prices low for your consumers so that you can have your great American companies build great goods that we will buy back, and we buy your goods back at a volume greater than any country in the world.
My view is we want to enrich and enhance that relationship. I'd love to see another couple million barrels of oil per day going down to the U.S., because I know that the ambassador's spoken about this, as has the U.S. president, about global energy dominance. I think that North America can do that with Alberta providing the backbone.
The government of Alberta's ambition is to double oil and gas production. This added capacity objective is critical to Alberta and our most important trading partner, the United States. It's in both of our countries' best interests to double the amount of Canadian crude moving south.
She's amazing.
She's great. Isn't that, according to the Doug Fords of the world, according to the Mark Carneys of the world, according to much of the Liberal cabinet, everything she just said there amounts to some sort of sedition. where she's trying to sell the Americans oil and gas in a mutually beneficial relationship, the kind of relationship that we have known since the founding of our countries. We have or at least we did up until very recently, the single largest trading and military partnership human history has ever known. And the Liberals have managed to undo it. And she's trying to keep it together. And yet that's her being a traitor. If you ask your Liberal friends who are like, she's got to turn off the pipeline. How about we turn it off to you? How about that? Angelica, go ahead before we say bye to you.
Right. So, of course, we see Liberals are blocking the prosperity of Canada, of Alberta. And the US wants to work with us, but their policies are preventing us from actually doing that. And what we've seen as well is investors leaving Canada at rapid rates because they know that they're not going to be able to do what they want to do here. I have a friend that's selling a home here in Springbank, and she's telling me that they're having a very hard time selling their home because of how many people in the oil and gas industry have actually left Alberta to move to places such as Texas. So their policies are creating some serious, serious problems in this nation because it's going to affect our future.
Let's go to Mark.
Yeah, I don't know if people know this, but Mark Carney's Brookfield purchased Colonial Pipeline, okay? And that closed last at the end of August, so a month ago, for just under $10 billion. Colonial Pipeline is the largest network of pipeline in the United States. What does this all mean? That means that every pipeline that is not built in Canada makes Mark Carney rich, okay? Right. So he has a vested interest in making sure there is zero pipelines in Canada, because otherwise, if we start building these pipelines, his investment in the United States is going to go down. He doesn't want it to go down. And we all know Mark Carney has 91% of all his assets are located in the United States, the most conflicted prime minister in Canadian history. Every time something goes bust in Canada, it makes him rich.
Isn't that interesting? Mark, remind me to invite you to our Brookfield Octopus Dissect, where we draw a map for the people of Canada to see how many ways Mark Carney is being conflicted with his investments in Brookfield. But what a difference, going back to Danielle Smith, what a difference in tone she takes with the Americans. It's almost as if she understands that they need to like us to do business with us, that it is better for everyone if your closest neighbor and biggest trading partner thinks well of you. So here you have David Eby crying Ichabod Crane tears over there in British Columbia. Well, how did those sharp elbows work out for you, David Eby? How did they? Looks like Danielle Smith is in a much better position than you fools.
I can't imagine the Americans who now are tariffing the daylights out of his lumber took kindly to the fact that he threatened to cut off access to the Alaska Highway, the highway the Americans paid to build, so that they could have connected access to Alaska. And he said, no, we're going to deny them access to it. Yeah, how did that work out for you, David Eby? Let's hit an ad break. And we'll come back and talk about how some of the other premiers are dealing with trade wars, like Doug Ford and his absolute adversarial take on any sort of relationship with, I think, any country in the world, or Alberta, actually, because he weighed in on the EV tariff. So let's do an ad break. We'll come right back.
Hey, Toronto Rebel News fans, listen up. Rebel News is celebrating 10 years of fearless journalism with our 10th birthday bash, and you're invited to join us. Last week, hundreds of Rebel fans packed our Calgary party for an unforgettable night of music, food, and fun. Now it's Toronto's turn. Join us on Thursday, October 16th at 6 p.m. near Black Creek and Lawrence for a night you will not forget. Expect a lively evening with Rebel News journalists and crew, past and present. cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and of course, a birthday cake. A fun photo booth with keepsakes and a full-on celebration of free speech, independent media, and the community that made it all possible.
Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing fantastic.
Keep at it. You guys have made change as far as I can see. Happy birthday, Rebel News. Let's keep going.
Keep up the good work and keep fighting for freedom. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
We'll also be holding a silent auction, including private lunches with yours truly, Ezra and Alexa. This isn't just a party, it's a celebration of what we built together. 10 years of telling the other side of the story and standing up for freedom. Tickets are going fast. Grab yours now at happybirthdayrebel.com before early bird pricing ends at midnight on Friday, October the 3rd. And if you want the ultimate Rebel experience, get a VIP ticket. That includes dinner with Rebel journalists before the party. Space is limited, so secure your spot right now. Hello! We'll see you there, Toronto.
By connecting businesses with qualified candidates, Workforce Alberta helps employers change their story.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA Hats to introduce, well, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada great again.
All right. I think we're going to say goodbye to Angelica. She has to run off and finish the rest of her work. And we thank her very much for jumping on the stream with us. Angelica, thank you very much. And I know that you're working double time on other things today, so appreciate you for that. Before we move on to Doug Fort's take on the tariffs and the news at Stellantis, predictable news on Stellantis, we've got a message from our friends at the Wellness Company. So allow me to entertain you with their message. Does your immune system feel compromised ever since COVID? A new study published in the Journal of Clinical Laboratory Analysis suggests you may not be in the clear even if you feel fine. Researchers analyzed blood from people who had recovered from COVID and found something concerning. Their platelets, which are essential for healthy blood clotting, were not functioning properly even months after recovery. Boy, everybody's got a story like this these days. I heard a fair bit of them over Thanksgiving. Other studies have found lingering spike proteins in the bloodstream and organs causing immune system dysfunction and even mitochondrial damage, whether from the virus or mRNA shots. That's why Dr. Peter McCullough developed the Ultimate Spike Detox. I love the Wellness Company because they send me these reads with things spelled phonetically. This doctor-formulated blend includes nattokinase to help break down spike protein, bromelain to support immune health, and turmeric with black pepper to reduce inflammation and repair cells. Take back control of your health today. Head to twc.health/rebel. Use code REBEL to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/rebel and use code REBEL to get 10% off. It's time to own your health. And it is true. I am hearing plenty of, and I don't know what the statistical analysis is, but plenty of anecdotal stories about otherwise healthy young people at least having weird autoimmune disorders all of a sudden, even in my own family. Let's go to Doug Fort. And what's happening at Stellantis. So Stellantis, after receiving, I think, is it 15 billion with a B dollars in grants from the Canadian government or levels of the Canadian government, they're now moving their Jeep Compass production, originally slated for Brampton, to Illinois, which is exactly what Donald Trump promised he would do, is to repatriate the auto sector. We were warned, and instead of doing something to encourage companies to stay in Canada, we haven't done all that much to do it. So CTV News reports that the Jeep Compass, which I didn't realize was still being manufactured, I haven't seen a new one in a long time, is going to Illinois. And Mark Carney has issued a statement on the Stellantis production plans. He says Canada's new government will always be there for Canadian auto workers who are foundational to the Canadian economy. Anyways, together with the government of Ontario and, of course, Unifor, we are working with the company to develop the right measures to protect Stellantis employees and to create new opportunities for them in and around Brampton. Oh my God, are we going to make a LADA, the Canadian LADA, in Brampton just to keep these workers employed? We have further made clear that we expect Stellantis to fulfill the undertakings they have made to the workers of Brampton. And they go on to say the decision is a direct consequence of current U.S. tariffs and potential future U.S. trade actions. Until a more certain trade environment for the North American auto sector is established through the upcoming review of the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, decisions on new investments in the auto sector will continue to be affected. God, I wish they cared about oil and gas workers this much.
Or canola growers.
I think the last paragraph is the most important.
Okay,
you need to read that last one.
Okay, on November 4th, 2025, Canada's new government will table a budget that will catalyze generational investment.
New government.
Yeah, the new government will catalyze
generational investment
to build the economy of the economy of the future.
You know what that means? That means our kids are going to be paying for it. Our grandkids are going to be paying for it.
Well, they work
for it.
as nipple greasers on the windmill farms of the future, while ensuring workers and industries can bridge to seize its opportunities. Yeah, so they're saying we're going to bridge you to the new green economy.
That last paragraph is the paragraph that should blow people's mind, because it's just like, wow, we're in big trouble here in Canada.
Well, if they can't make a go of it, Mark, like, correct me if I'm
With
wrong.
$15 billion.
If they get $15 billion in gold bricks and just waste them and can't make a go of the company, is that a company that we want to keep propping up as taxpayers?
It gets a lot worse, because they invested $52 billion into subsidizing the EVs, all but one. So 13 of the companies are either bankrupt, canceled, delayed, except for Volkswagen.
Right.
So listen to this. Listen to this, Canada. I can't wait for this government to give us our new generational budget, knowing the fact that 12 out of 13 companies have either been bankrupt, canceled, or it's just all going to go into the incinerator. For the last decade, they've been investing more and spending less. Look where we are. Doubled our national deficit, more than any prime minister combined. And now we're doing the same as this new government is doing the same as this old government. And they expect us to believe that this time's going to be different. We've seen this story before.
Yeah, Polyev says that it's a tough day for 3,000 Brampton Stellantis workers who just learned that Mark Carney sold them out and let their jobs move to the U.S. after promising to negotiate a win with President Trump. They've been negotiating this win since 2 months before the G7 with President Trump, and giving billions in handouts to the company. The elbows down prime minister got no job guarantees for auto workers. Weak leader, broken promises, lost jobs. And Doug Ford, he's doubling down. For some reason, he says this news is a reminder that we need the federal government to stand up for the 157,000 workers in Ontario's auto sector by maintaining tariffs on Chinese vehicles. We need the federal government to work with us to get moving on major projects, including nuclear facilities, mining, critical minerals, shipbuilding. Well, the Chinese can do that. Pipelines and ports that will unlock economic opportunities and create new jobs for workers across the province. Unleash your wrath on this man for the EV tariffs.
Doug Ford, how is this going for you? So another 3,000 jobs flushed down the toilet because you can't stop flapping your gums at the Americans for your perceived slights against you. This is what you get, Doug Ford, for your actions. Auto workers of Ontario, you know that we're with you. We don't want to see anybody out of work. We don't want to see any Canadian family struggling. But this is the predictable outcome of a premier that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And further to that, I'm taking a lot of umbrage with premiers whose only solution is to have their hand out for the federal government. You're not welfare recipients, premiers. You got a way out of this, and it's to do things the right way, which Doug Ford just seems to be incapable of doing.
Does anybody know the size of the auto sector in Ontario?
157,000? Is that what they
I
said?
want to know
Or
the
was
GDP.
that Canadian?
I want to know the GDP.
Yeah, I think I knew that number, but I want to just add something because
Please.
Doug Ford pouring this Crown Royal all over the street. Are we going to see Doug Ford throw gasoline on a Jeep and let it just blow up?
I would love it.
It's like Doug with a tire iron taking out his frustrations on a Jeep Compass.
I bet you we're going to see Doug Ford. Yeah, a tire iron just start smashing the windows of a Jeep and then throwing some gasoline on it and just letting it burn. You know what? You heard it first here.
It'll make great TV, Mark. It'll make great TV. Oh,
Yeah.
just the
I am
best.
trying to okay. I can't find the exact number, but what I can tell you is that they are selling out the canola sector to protect these EV vehicles. And I just pulled the statistics on it. There are, well, what was it, Lise, employed in the auto sector?
157,000 auto sector employees.
Well, the canola sector, of roughly $44 billion industry, supports 206,000 Canadian jobs.
Yes, we do.
And 65,000 of those are direct family members. So
Yes, we do.
So 1 in 4 people who work in the canola industry are the people who produce it on their own family farm. And those people are being sold up the river to protect the auto sector in Ontario. And nobody seems to care outside of the West. Why? Because the Liberals don't stand to lose a single seat here. That's the problem. We don't vote for Liberals, so we can't have nice things like jobs.
I just want to add that so before it was about 15% EVs were sold in Canada. That's plummeted to between 2 and 8% this year. So what are we protecting? 2% of the sales? Think about that. So yes, I get it. I mean, one way that they could do is negotiate with China and say, hey, we'll let you bring in the vehicles, but we're going to use our batteries, right? In Ontario. So just say, hey, we'll use it. And the most expensive component is the batteries. So we invested tons of money into the batteries. So we say, hey, bring your car. We'll put in our battery. It's only 2%. Well, I mean, right now it's 2 to 8% of the sales. So it's not a huge hit to the actual business. And then we're going to be able to get the canola. But the one thing that Canadians aren't paying attention to is that China wants to buy our oil and gas. They said we want your oil and gas. There's 1.2 billion Chinese that want our oil and gas, and all of Asia wants our oil and gas. And if you look at a map, the East Coast and down to the Gulf of America, that's where all of the shipping for the oil and gas. There's barely anything on the West Coast. It's and we're close to Asia. We just ship it off and we get it there. So they're saying, hey, we'll buy your oil and gas. That's what we should be looking at. Not only will we get the canola going, we're going to get our oil and gas going. And all we have to do is negotiate the EV thing. I get it. Donald Trump might be like, no, we're going to impose a massive tariff, but at least try to do something. And then you could pivot. But, the thing is that we reelected another liberal government after 10 years.
The same liberal government.
The same liberal. There's not a new government. It's the same liberal government. And Mark Carney's been advising this government for the last 5 years.
2020, yeah.
So it's the same government.
Yeah, it's almost as if we have an inept federal government that can't negotiate a trade deal with Asia. Almost.
Right.
It almost seems like that.
No, we sent Anita Anand, one of the most useless MPs ever, to China. Oh, it's going to go great.
Anita Anand and Melanie Joly.
Yeah, that's the best we got. We have 41 million Canadians, and the best we got to negotiate our deals is Anita Anand and Melanie Joly. Think about that, Canada.
I just have secondhand embarrassment every time they talk. And I'm just like, in the new country, we won't have to be embarrassed by these two women anymore.
In the new country. In the new country. Yeah.
Look at least she's not holding hands with a terrorist. At least it's Marco Rubio here, which is what Canadians do on diplomatic missions. Let's go to, I know we're over time, but we didn't start until late. So let's go to the chat that we have, and then I dug up the Daily Cringe, which I wanted to share yesterday. It says, this is from Silver Feet, who every day for 12 days in a row now has been giving us a chat to list us a federal government DEI project that the government is wasting our money on. And I appreciate his journalism, but it just depresses me for the second half of the day. He gives us $5 and says, day 12, don't worry, Ezra and Tommy, we got you. It will take some time to build, but the time is all we have. We'll be giving retroactive rewards to the International Citizen Journalist Association.com. I'm going to nominate us all for awards there and see what happens, what the federal government play is there. All right, Mark, you could be new to the show, but we try to end the show on something we call the Daily Cringe or the Daily Delight. So one of those times where Olivia Chow gives you secondhand embarrassment, makes you grateful that you don't live in Toronto, or Liz May having some sort of NyQuil-induced episode again in front of the National Press Gallery, or sometimes it's liberal ladies of The View. I must tell you, one time I quit going to a nail place because they always had The View on. And I'm like, I'm not coming here anymore. I'm just not coming. The new place I found actually turned on CPAC for me, which was very exciting. Bored the daylights out of everybody, but it was good for me. Anyway, the ladies of The View, they have been on here before. They are Daily Cringe recidivists. And so Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm, I couldn't remember the show's name last night, is married to RFK. And she had the lady balls to go into the Viper's pit of The View and talk to these liberal ladies. And it did not go well for the liberal ladies. It's a 2-minute and 36-second clip, but Whoopi Goldberg ends up having to cut to commercial after getting mauled by the grizzly bear that is Cheryl Hines. So let's watch.
Your husband, when he announced basically that he believed he found some causal links between autism and Tylenol, it created a lot of panic in women who were being told by their OBGYNs who look at them that Tylenol, if necessary to treat pain during pregnancy, is safe. What would you say, and I know you're not a medical professional, but to women who now feel anxious and nervous because their doctor's telling them one thing, but the top public health professional is telling them something very different?
Well, they said, consult your doctor before taking it. That's what they were saying, and that holds. So I agree. Listen, I've been pregnant. I understand it's stressful being pregnant. I found, because you're so concerned with everything. I didn't drink caffeine when I was pregnant. So to say, hey, consult your doctor before you take this, I agree with that, and I think that's okay for moms to hear.
Cheryl?
Yeah? Go ahead.
Now,
all right.
I am this is not your fight, really, to be fighting.
Yeah.
This is your husband's fight.
Thank you for acknowledging that. But go ahead. But here, what we're talking about.
I do want to say, he's not a doctor and he's not a professional.
Yes.
And oftentimes when he's talking, when he's speaking, he is speaking not with the best information that we can get because, we could do a lot better with health stuff. And there's a lot of stuff he can do. And some of the things he's suggested take it out of the hands of my doctor and me and my OBGYN and me. And I wonder, does it give you pause and are you able to say, that might not actually be so because I've got my experience and I've lived with this and I'm still here. So are you able to have those conversations with her?
I am able to have those conversations. And just to be clear, 90% of secretaries of HHS have not been doctors.
But they've had a science background.
There have been 3.
Yeah.
No, to be honest.
One of Obama's secretaries of HHS was an economist.
But the majority of them that haven't had medical backgrounds have had a science background.
Wait, don't do anything else. Don't say anything else yet.
Because
we have to take a break.
I bet you do.
I bet you do, because she's fighting back. She's swinging back. How
They
unfair
wanted
of them.
her. Also, yeah, I'll shut up. I know exactly what you're going to say because you're my best friend. But go ahead.
Well, how unfair of them to put that on her. Answer for what your husband did. We don't like what your husband did, so you must pay the price in this moment. But what RFK is actually doing is challenging a completely corrupt and ideologically captured medical community that has been giving bad advice for decades. We know that there's been an uptick in autism diagnoses. We know that it has to come from somewhere. We didn't used to have the incidences of autism as we did, and that he's looking into it should be commended. Because if we can make children healthier, by looking into what could have caused this, it is good for all children. And for them to pivot as some sort of attack on women. Oh, well, you're telling women they can't have Tylenol. No, they're pregnant. Go lay down. Go lay down. That's what he's saying. Just listen, little lady. Go lay down. Mark, what do you say?
I actually made a YouTube video on this because it hit hard. Because think about this. It's the actual the manufacturer of Tylenol published, do not use our product while pregnant. Then Health Canada came out and said, yes, use it. It's safe. Which one would you listen to? The manufacturer of the product or Health Canada? It's incredible. And the only reason Health Canada came out and did that is because Donald Trump came and and it wasn't even Donald Trump saying, he's reading medical professional output saying, hey, I'm reading this from not me. This is like our medical professionals are saying that it could cause autism.
Sure.
And the other thing that people don't understand, we knew about this for like 40 years that Tylenol was not safe during pregnancy. 40 years. It's nothing new. It's just that Donald Trump came out and said, hey, and then now we have liberal women proving Donald Trump wrong by popping all these pills on social media. I couldn't believe it. When I saw that, I was like, this is wrong in so many levels. The thing about Tylenol, think about this. You know that you don't drink alcohol during pregnancy, right? I mean, so Tylenol is a poison. So what's the difference between alcohol and Tylenol? They're both, they're both poisons for you. So it's common sense. Obviously, the thing is, if you have a fever, and you need to control the fever, then that's when it is for the medical doctors say, hey, take the least amount as possible for the shortest amount of time. And that's advisable because actually the fever could be harmful to the baby as well. So you have to think about that. But overall, they're saying if you have a headache, take a Tylenol. No, don't take a Tylenol. Take a nap. Drink some water. Go put a heat pad on your head or ice or whatever you need. Or, like that. It's not, or go for a walk or, don't just go and take an Advil or Tylenol. And so the thing is in society, the reason that we have so much health problems is because people just resort to taking a Tylenol as if it's like, a normal thing. It's not a normal thing. It's not okay.
Yep.
It's not a normal thing. We need to be looking at, hey, I have a headache. There must be some kind of reason, like I'm dehydrated, maybe. I'm not eating healthy. I'm not
Masking
sleeping
the
enough.
symptoms. Yeah, masking the symptoms, not treating the cause. This is all, I think there's a whole bunch of things going on in my head after watching this, but just on the Tylenol issue, we're part of a culture that thinks that discomfort is like the worst thing that could ever happen to us, right? And it's like, no, we are actually a pretty resilient people, and it's okay to feel discomfort from time to time, either emotionally or physically. And actually, at the end of the day, you might be smarter and more resilient because of it. And so that's why they just pop Tylenol. But there's something here that bothered me, and I think it is part of the same thread flowing through a few things, or being sewn through a few things that we saw when the ladies were actually taking pregnant women taking Tylenol for spite. And that was, they were publicly disavowing their baby's health in favor of allegiance and fealty to the liberal sisterhood, right? Like that's what they were doing. And the View ladies thought that Cheryl would do the same thing. They wanted her to publicly disavow her own husband in front of the, 19 people that still watch The View, in favor of fealty to the liberal sisterhood, right? And they were sort of like, oh, we got to go to commercial, when she didn't do it, and when she came with facts about actually who has been working at the HHS, and nobody seemed to care. They thought that your allegiance to the liberal sisterhood is the most important thing in your life, not to your husband, not to your family, not to your children, not to the health of your unborn child. It is to the liberal sisterhood. And they just can't understand that happy, healthy women have an allegiance to their families first. They were kind of stunned by it.
Yep, and good for Cheryl Hine for really
Good
kind
for
of
her.
just sort of talking about common sense. She mentioned that she had been pregnant. She didn't even drink coffee during pregnancy, because it is common sense that women who are carrying babies should live as natural a life as they can during that gestational period, because we know that the systems that are developing in that time are so intricate and are so easily disrupted. But those women that are binging, overdosing on Tylenol just to prove a point, those moms are going to be moms of trans kids just a couple of years down the line. Just watch. Those are those types of women.
You know what, though? They would love that. I think they would love that, to just have a medicalized child forever, so that they can be the Transhausen by proxy mommies, where they get
and just to prove
the social
Donald
awards.
Trump wrong. Yes, just to prove Donald Trump wrong. Yep.
Okay. Oh God, this just disgusts me to watch.
Oh, no, social services should get involved right at this point, like intervention.
Smoke a cigarette while you're at it, lady.
Yeah. So this woman that we're seeing right now, she's actually a nurse. But not all the videos, like some of them, I think that they like faked the pill. Like we don't know what's real and what's not, but I think that woman was real. So there are some real, some are fake, like I saw the pill, usually the pills are white, and I saw a blue one. So it could be a vitamin or something. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter, because them publishing this encourages other women to do it. So it's wrong. It's just so wrong that they would do that. And the thing is, it's like, as a human, as a woman, or even as a man, but as a woman that's pregnant, go with your gut instinct. Don't listen to don't listen to somebody telling you to just feel what's right for you, right? And do what's best for your child. Don't, that's my advice.
We live in a society, though, where everybody does what's best for, like, the parents these days are incredibly selfish, that you see this all the time in the Transhausen movement, that it's all about their social rewards and the lifelong implications for the children be damned. They just see the child as an extension of their own politics.
But I saw something that was really interesting about the trans thing is the food supply in North America is so poisonous and has so many different issues with it that it's causing the issues. The kids are born with less testosterone or less like the hormones are off, and so Yeah, so that
without question, this has had an impact on the development of children. Children are hitting puberty 3 years earlier in 2025 than they were a generation ago. That is an incredible change. And what
So-
is causing it? What is causing it? You say the food chain.
Yeah. So instead of dealing with the issue, which is our food is toxic and that we're really toxic, what they do is that's worth like, you know, how many billions, like that industry, the food industry. So instead of fixing the food industry, what they're doing is they're making it justifying us accepting that our kids are going to be trans because that's cheaper to change public opinion on, you know, it's because that's what people want. It's like, no, it was created by the toxins that we're getting in our foods. And then it's making this kind of defective in birth. And then after that, instead of actually going to the root problem, which is we're not eating healthy foods, the foods are all poisonous. And then that's worth so much money that it's easier to just convince us that this is normal. Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy.
This stuff is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It really is. I rant about these things all the time in my private time to poor Lise. But long before Big Pharma got us, Big Food was getting us and manipulating the food pyramid. And now all of a sudden we're much, much sicker. And guess who's richer? Big Food. And now Big Pharma comes in to fix things for us. So instead of telling you like, yeah, probably saturated fat isn't bad for you, they're like, here's a statin to fix your problem.
It's a vicious circle. It is. They have created a very profitable, very vicious circle. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, here's your diabetes medication instead of like, hey, maybe avoid carbohydrates and you'll be just fine. They're like, no, here's Ozempic. And then you can't get off Ozempic because Ozempic, when it drops your mass, which it does, it also drops your bone density and your muscle mass, which means if you go off it, you are not metabolically healthy. And then so you actually pack on the weight faster. But anyways, don't get me started. The show will be another hour. We've got to wrap up the show because I've got a meeting to get into right away. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the show. Lise, thanks for all your hard work over the last 48 hours here at Rebel News covering elections. We couldn't do it without you. Mark, thanks for coming on the show. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on X. It's Mark Nixon 24 on X. I'm also on YouTube, Mark Nixon Official, Mark with a C, Nixon Official. On YouTube, I start my channel April 1st, and I'm at 43,000. So it's growing quickly, almost 10,000 a month. Lots of interest on my show. And on X, I'm almost at 100,000 in a year. So it's exciting growth for me. Yep. Having a lot of fun, and would love to have you on my team.
And anytime you would like us to comment on things, I think Lisa and I would be happy to reciprocate the gift you have given us today.
We're just going to collab, Mark. Okay. We're just all in the same boat right now. Thanks so much, buddy, for being on. You were just a great time, and we hope to have you back soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Keep up the great work, because I republish your guys' work as well. So I'm thankful for all the hard journalism that you guys do for us Canadians.
Well, I appreciate that. It's we've got to give the commentators something to chew on. And so we have to be out in the world doing that. And we couldn't do that without the support of our viewers at home, which leads into me thanking all of our viewers at home right now. Thank you to those of you who share the show. It's a really affordable, as in free, way to help us get the word out, and it helps us get around the censorship algorithms. The more you engage with our content, the more it is served up in front of other people. So we appreciate you for that. And those of you who pitch in a little bit all the time to keep the lights on, we know exactly who you are, and we couldn't do it without your dedicated and loyal support. Those of you who have become members of the channel, we love you for that. All of you guys who work behind the scenes at Rebel News, thank you so much for the hard work that you do, because we do put you on the spot a fair bit. And, we're a small ship sailing in this big media sea, and a lot of people are doing a lot of things at the exact same time, and we couldn't do it without you. Let's wrap the show. No, I'm not back here tomorrow. I'm flying tomorrow. Somebody will be hosting the show tomorrow. And until then, if they find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.